I knew him for a long time. When I first became champ, I knew him.
He's the only witness. He's the only witness that's tying Puff to the Pac thing. The only witness that's alive.
Have you ever wondered if there is more to the headlines about Sean Diddy comms than we have been told? Recently, Diddy's high-profile arrest stunned the entertainment world, but things took an even more shocking turn when none other than Mike Tyson, the boxing legend, spoke out furious that Diddy is only now being arrested and not years ago. But what is even more surprising? Tyson's anger might not be just about the legal charges Diddy is currently facing. Rumor has it that Tyson knows much more than he is revealing. Could it be that Mike Tyson himself has witnessed some of the dark, twisted things that Diddy has been involved in over the years? Maybe even participated in them. Let us dive in and unpack this astonishing story.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
First, let's talk about Diddy's recent arrest. He's been hit with some serious charges, and it's not just a one-off situation. This is a culmination of years of allegations, rumors, and whispers finally catching up to him. His fall from grace is headline news everywhere, and for good reason. But what's not immediately obvious is how deep these accusations run and the kind of connections they expose within the entertainment industry. Diddy's name has come up time and again in relation to some pretty unsavory activities, parties that were more like secret, exclusive events where anything and everything went down. And if you look back at the stories, Mike Tyson has been seen right in the middle of it all during the early 2000s.
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Let's rewind for a second. Mike Tyson and Diddy have a long history, but it's not just about casual meetups at industry events. There's been talk for years that Tyson and Diddy had a closer relationship than anyone realized, especially when it comes to those infamous, over-the-top parties that Diddy was known for throwing. Tyson was a regular at these wild gatherings, back when Diddy's star was at its brightest. This was a time when Diddy could seemingly do no wrong. He had the music world in the palm of his hand, and the people who wanted to be around him were A-listers. Mike Tyson, fresh off his own public controversies, was one of those people.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Now, Tyson's involvement in Diddy's circle didn't just include red carpet appearances. According to some insiders, Tyson attended many of Diddy's legendary parties that weren't just about music and dancing, but were filled with darker, more private activities that only those inside the inner circle knew about. The parties weren't exclusive just for their celebrity guests. They were about pushing boundaries, about excess, and about indulging in behavior that people outside that world could only imagine. And here's where it gets interesting. For years, Tyson stayed quiet about these events. He partied, he mingled, and he seemed to enjoy the perks that came with being close to someone as powerful as Diddy.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail.
But fast forward to now, and everything's changed. Tyson has come out swinging, accusing Diddy of being responsible for much more than what's already been brought to light. Tyson seems to have turned a corner in his own life. He's gone through a transformation, from a man infamous for his own legal troubles and scandals to someone who's now seen as a sort of reformed figure. He's built himself back up, becoming a family man and someone who speaks openly about his past mistakes and personal growth. But what's surprising is how vocal Tyson has become about Diddy's misdeeds. Some say that Tyson, in his quest for redemption, now despises Diddy for the things that went on at those parties, things Tyson might have witnessed firsthand.
That Diddy is not in the Caribbean, he remains in the United States. People are saying he was reportedly detained.
And here's the thing, Tyson's claims don't come out of nowhere. In interviews, Tyson has dropped hints that he knows things about Diddy that the public doesn't. At one point, Tyson even referred to Diddy as dangerous and made cryptic remarks that suggested Diddy has always operated behind the scenes in ways that aren't just unethical. They're downright criminal. Could Tyson be talking about the same parties he once attended? And if so, why is he turning against Diddy now? There's speculation that Tyson's newfound moral stance has something to do with the fact that he's seen too much and now regrets his involvement. After all, Tyson isn't without his own dark history. We all know about his run-ins with the law, most famously his time in prison during the 1990s and his well-publicized financial troubles that followed. But what's less known is that during the early 2000s, around the time when Diddy's wild parties were at their peak, Tyson was struggling to keep his life on track. Rumors have long circulated that Tyson, in an attempt to keep himself relevant and connected to the entertainment elite, allowed himself to get pulled into Diddy's chaotic lifestyle.
The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after 2 judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from workers very soon.
So, what exactly was happening at these notorious parties that Diddy hosted? Well, according to various sources, Diddy's events were anything but ordinary. These weren't your typical Hollywood parties with champagne, music, and celebrity gossip. Instead, Diddy's gatherings were shrouded in secrecy, with rumors swirling that they featured all sorts of shocking and scandalous behavior. These events, often referred to as private sessions, took place in luxury homes, secluded mansions, or rented estates where high-profile guests were assured total discretion. Inside, it said that the atmosphere was wild. Guests were encouraged to let loose, and Diddy was known for creating an environment where people felt invincible, free from the prying eyes of the media and public. The real shocker. Many believe that Diddy wasn't just hosting these parties for fun, he was collecting dirt on people. Whether they were his fellow artists, actors, or even business moguls, Diddy reportedly used these parties to gather compromising information on his celebrity guests. Some rumors even suggest that hidden cameras were placed throughout the party locations to capture private moments that certain people wouldn't want to be made public, and those who attended often had no idea what was really going on behind the scenes.
Alleged evidence that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles, and the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
This idea of Diddy holding on to insurance in the form of incriminating footage or information might explain how he was able to keep his powerful position in the industry for so long. The stories about Diddy gathering dirt go way back, with whispers that he used this leverage to control or influence others in the entertainment world. Celebrities who crossed paths with him seemed to fall in line, and those who didn't were quickly reminded of how much Diddy knew about their private lives. In some circles, it's even believed that this collection of secrets gave Diddy the power to sway decisions, sign deals, and manipulate people without them ever realizing they were being played. But the rumors don't stop there. Specific details about what went down at these parties have started to surface. There are reports of guests engaging in outrageous activities, often under the influence, with the encouragement of Diddy himself. High-profile attendees were said to be involved in everything from outlandish dares to activities that most would rather keep hidden. According to some accounts, these parties were notorious for pushing boundaries, blurring the lines between fun and outright exploitation. People who thought they were attending a night of networking or celebration found themselves caught up in situations that left them vulnerable, situations Diddy might have been orchestrating from behind the scenes.
That's of course. There's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers upon layers.
And let's not forget the guest list. These events weren't just filled with Hollywood regulars. They were magnets for the biggest names in entertainment. Everyone from up-and-coming artists to established A-listers attended, all drawn by Diddy's influence and the promise of being part of his exclusive circle. But here's the catch. Many of them left with more than they bargained for. According to insiders, Diddy's parties were less about fun and more about power. He allegedly used these events to observe, manipulate, and gather information, all while presenting himself as the life of the party.
And let me tell you something else. Not only should he have apologized to Cassie in that video, he should have apologized to all of the general public that he lied to.
Some have even speculated that the real reason Diddy's parties were so popular among celebrities was because of the atmosphere he created, a sense of invincibility where anything could happen without consequence. But those who attended weren't always aware of the darker purpose behind the fun. For Diddy, these parties may have been a way to gather secrets, control narratives, and maintain his iron grip on the entertainment world. And for someone like Tyson, who was right there in the mix, the realization of what was really happening might have hit hard.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
As Tyson has reinvented himself over the past decade, stepping back into the public eye as a changed man, he's made a point of talking about personal responsibility and accountability. This new version of Tyson isn't shy about calling out those he thinks have crossed the line, especially when it comes to people who, like Diddy, have tried to use their power and influence to manipulate others. Tyson, who once seemed to live a life of reckless abandon, is now standing in stark contrast to Diddy, whose empire is crumbling under the weight of scandal. But there's more to Tyson's fury than just moral indignation. Some believe Tyson's anger toward Diddy goes even deeper, potentially rooted in the knowledge of what went down at those infamous parties. According to whispers in the industry, Tyson was privy to the activities happening behind closed doors, and as Diddy's legal troubles pile up, it's possible Tyson feels compelled to distance himself as far as possible. He may even be ready to spill the details of what he saw back then.
It has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our homicide section to get to where we are today.
As we continue to unpack the tension between Mike Tyson and Diddy, one can't help but wonder if the real source of Mike's fury lies deeper than the scandals surrounding Diddy's infamous parties. Could it be that Tyson's anger stems from something far more personal? Many speculate that the real breaking point between the two might be Tyson's belief that Diddy played a role in the tragic end of Shakur, Tyson's close friend. This theory is not just some far-fetched conspiracy. It's rooted in the history of one of the most notorious feuds in music history, one that has haunted both the hip-hop world and those close to Shakur for decades. Tyson, having had a deep bond with Shakur, might have more reasons than we realize for wanting to see Diddy face consequences.
The Vegas Police Department do their due diligence and get down to the bottom of it.
So what exactly is this connection between Diddy, Shakur, and Mike Tyson? It's no secret that Tyson and Shakur were incredibly close. They were like brothers, both navigating fame, success, and the dangers of life in the spotlight during the height of their careers. Shakur was often seen supporting Tyson at his matches, and their bond extended far beyond the superficial celebrity friendships we often hear about. Tyson has spoken publicly about how much Shakur meant to him, calling him a real friend and someone who was always in his corner. So, when Shakur was tragically taken from the world in 1996, Tyson was devastated. But it wasn't just grief that Tyson felt, it was suspicion.
They pressing him so bad, and I don't know how I should say this, that a couple of weeks ago, a week or two ago, they beat him up in jail. The cops.
As rumors swirled around Shakur's fatal drive-by incident in Las Vegas, one name kept coming up, Diddy. And it wasn't just idle gossip. The East Coast-West Coast feud had already escalated to dangerous levels, with Shakur on one side, representing the West, and Diddy on the other, the East Coast mogul with his Bad Boy Records empire. The tension was palpable, and many believe that Shakur's passing wasn't just a tragic coincidence, but rather the culmination of a war that had gotten out of hand.
Is there anything you have opinions on Diddy? Have you had any experiences with Diddy?
Tyson, who was in Las Vegas on the night Shakur was fatally attacked, has often reflected on that night with a heavy heart. Shakur had attended one of Tyson's boxing matches at the MGM Grand earlier that evening, just hours before the fateful incident. It's been reported that Shakur was in high spirits, excited to support his friend Tyson in the ring. But after the match, everything changed. Within hours, Shakur was gone, and the questions about who was responsible began almost immediately.
And that's ultimately how these accusations have to be viewed right now, because we've had, almost 15 years, and the police have not connected Diddy to these accusations. There may be some truth to them, there may not, but right now, there obviously hasn't been enough for the police to make an arrest.
For years, fans, insiders, and even investigators have wondered whether Diddy had a hand in orchestrating the events that led to Shakur's end. The rivalry between Shakur and Diddy's camp wasn't just about music. It was a vicious feud that felt more like a personal vendetta. Shakur had publicly accused Diddy and the notorious B.I.G. of being involved in a previous attack on him, and he didn't hold back his anger in interviews and songs. Tracks like Hit 'Em Up weren't just diss tracks. They were battle cries, filled with venomous accusations aimed directly at Diddy's bad boy crew.
The only man currently facing charges in the case, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, claims that Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, paid for a hit on Tupac.
What made matters worse were the persistent rumors that Diddy might have placed a bounty on Shakur and Suge Knight, his producer at Death Row Records. According to various sources and interviews over the years, there were whispers that Diddy had allegedly offered $1 million reward to anyone who could take out both Shakur and Suge. These accusations were never proven, but they added fuel to an already raging fire. Shakur's fatal incident, which occurred just months after the height of this feud, left many wondering whether Diddy had somehow orchestrated, or at the very least, been connected to the events of that night.
Now, Combs has long denied any involvement with Tupac's He's never been charged. Our question this morning, how believable is Keffe D's Diddy accusation?
For Tyson, the loss of Shakur wasn't just a public tragedy. It was personal. And if he, like many others, believes that Diddy played a role in Shakur's end, it would explain why Tyson is now speaking out so strongly against Diddy. It's not just about the parties, the power games, or the manipulations. It's about revenge. It's about justice for a close friend who was taken too soon under suspicious circumstances.
You know, that's the whole truth on the Tupac thing. You know what I'm saying?
But what about Diddy's side of the story? Over the years, Diddy has denied any involvement in the incident, maintaining that the feud between the East and West Coasts was blown out of proportion by the media and that he had nothing to do with Shakur's passing. Yet, the rumors have persisted, and Diddy's reputation has never fully shaken off the shadows of that dark time. Some believe that Diddy's rise to the top of the music industry was built on more than just business savvy. It was built on eliminating his competition by any means necessary. Fast forward to today, and Diddy's current situation seems almost like poetic justice for those who have long suspected him of playing a part in Shakur's demise. As he sits in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, awaiting trial on a series of serious charges, Diddy is no longer the untouchable mogul he once was. Instead, he finds himself facing the possibility of spending years, if not the rest of his life, behind bars. And for someone like Diddy, who has lived in the lap of luxury for decades, the conditions of his arrest are nothing short of a nightmare.
Well, I'd certainly view everything he's saying with a lot of suspicion, right? I mean, he was in an interrogation in 2009 and offered this information up. And if he's truly involved in the killing of Tupac, he's looking to throw anything out there, to throw mirrors out there to deflect the accusations against.
The Metropolitan Detention Center is known for its harsh conditions. It's far from the glamorous lifestyle Diddy is used to, and it has housed some of the most notorious inmates in recent history, including R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell. The facility has been described by former inmates as barbaric, with overcrowding, unsanitary conditions, and limited access to even basic necessities like medical care. It's a place where high-profile inmates are stripped of their celebrity status and forced to live like everyone else. Diddy's life, once filled with private jets, sprawling mansions, and designer clothes, has been reduced to a cold cell and a prison jumpsuit. But it's not just the physical conditions that are weighing heavily on Diddy. According to reports, he's been placed on self-harm watch, which means he's under constant surveillance. This is a precaution that's often taken with high-profile inmates, especially those who might be struggling to cope with the dramatic shift in their circumstances. Diddy, who once controlled his surroundings with an iron grip, now has no control at all. He's cut off from the outside world, with no access to the internet, limited phone privileges, and virtually no contact with his powerful network of friends and business associates.
I've had clients describe MDC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
The reality of Diddy's situation is a far cry from the life he once led, and as the court case against him unfolds, it's becoming increasingly clear that he's in for a long, hard fight. His legal team has tried multiple times to secure his release on bail, offering millions in bond and assurances that Diddy would not flee the country. However, the court has repeatedly denied these requests, citing concerns that Diddy, with his vast resources, could easily disappear if given the chance. The prosecutors have painted him as not just a flight risk, but as someone who could potentially obstruct justice if released, someone who might use his power and connections to intimidate witnesses or tamper with evidence.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
As Diddy's legal troubles continue to pile up, it's becoming clear that this case isn't going to disappear quietly. The evidence against him appears to be significant, with federal investigators reportedly uncovering damning material that could lead to a conviction. The videos, documents, and testimony that have emerged suggest that Diddy's empire wasn't just built on music and business deals, it was built on manipulation, control, and possibly far worse. And while Diddy's team is doing everything in their power to fight the charges, the court of public opinion has already started to turn against him.
And that he is currently under fire, I think it now leads some credence to what people have been saying for years about Sean Diddy Combs and how he moves and how he operates. But whether it's true or not, we need more evidence, more people to confirm, and more facts that tie in from an investigative standpoint that these allegations and accusations could be accurate.
Meanwhile, those who were once close to Diddy are beginning to distance themselves. Some have remained silent, hoping to avoid being dragged into the scandal, while others have spoken out, sharing their own stories of what it was like to be part of Diddy's inner circle. These stories paint a picture of a man who thrived on power, who used his influence to control those around him, and who would stop at nothing to maintain his position at the top of the entertainment world.
They got to come up with some kind of evidence
For Mike Tyson, this might be the moment he's been waiting for. After years of suspicion and anger over Shakur's passing, it seems that Tyson is ready to see Diddy face justice, not just for the recent charges against him, but for everything that's happened in the past. Tyson's public comment suggests that he believes Diddy's downfall has been a long time coming, and that the truth about what happened to Shakur may finally come to light. As Diddy remains behind bars awaiting his next court date, one thing is certain: this story is far from over. The charges he's facing now are just the beginning. With each new piece of evidence that emerges, the possibility that more secrets from Diddy's past will be revealed grows stronger. And for those like Tyson, who have waited for years to see Diddy held accountable, this may be the moment they've been waiting for. So, what do you think? Could Mike Tyson really know more than he's letting on about Diddy's past, or is this just a case of old grudges coming to the surface? And do you believe Diddy's current legal situation could finally bring some long-hidden truths to light, especially regarding his alleged involvement in Shakur's tragic end? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.